First of all, I just want to say thank you to every single person that is taking time out on their beautiful Sunday of 9/9 of 2018, which is also the Jewish New Year. Hi, Richard, I didn't forget. And we are at the beautiful home of Robin, who reminded us about the Jewish New Year. And it's a time of contemplation and forgiveness about whatever quote unquote sins you may have committed, or people you may have wronged, or challenges you feel you maybe didn't meet in the previous time. And I have been channeling Mother Mary with the grace of her love since 1979. And a few years ago, once I moved up here to just outside of Sedona, she said it was going to be really important for us to come together, especially in the time that's approaching of 2020. And she said that what was going to be really, really important is for us to feel like we're not alone, and that there are other like-minded and open-hearted people on the planet. And so literally to see some of you on Zoom around different locations is just that beautiful reminder that we're not alone, and that together we are really, truly going to be able to create some changes in the times to come. And so I'll be doing this on a monthly basis. This is 9/9, so there'll be one on 10/10 and 11/11. And I will be sending out the information. If for any reason I don't have your email, if you will send it to me, or have your host or hostess send it to me, I'll be sure that you're on our list. We're also recording this call because there were a number of people that had other obligations or things that they were doing. So it's going to be an amazing, amazing time to come together. So I want you to just take a moment and put your hand on your heart, or both your hands on your heart. And just ask that in this next roughly hour that we have together, that you feel the love and support of Mother Mary, and you feel the connection with so many people in different locations. And of course, this is just a small smattering of all of the people around the world that love and honor the light and are doing their very best to represent light and love on the planet. So if there is any part of you that needs to forgive yourself or someone else before we begin, just in your heart, quietly to yourself, you can just say, I'm sorry. A little while ago, I forgave my younger self for not being more brave. You can forgive anyone in your life. Just take a moment and let that go. Because my beautiful hostess, Robin, reminded me that on this day of the new year, it's the beginning of letting go of anything that no longer serves us, letting go of the past and anything that would otherwise obstruct our glorious light. So there we go, just let it go. And then with your hands, just sort of move it away from your heart and just know that that forgiveness has already taken place. So now you can have an open heart to hear what Mother Mary has to say. So in just a moment, I'll bring her through for her message. And then we're going to allow for a little time to check in with anybody who wants to raise their hand, either physically or over the Zoom module where you can do that, and either ask a question or share a comment or just say hi from whatever location you happen to be in. Because just knowing we're not alone is a big part of being able to do what we're meant to do, you know, in this life. So here comes Mother Mary. First of all, stop being so serious. You know, the most important thing I can tell all of you is that the highest vibration is joy. Yeah. And so part of the forgiveness, part of the new year, part of letting all of that go is recognizing that when you have something heavy on your heart, it's hard to be joyful, right? It's hard to be jumping around in your world with happiness if you're still trying to forgive someone. So I would like to teach you tonight the most beautiful way to change your world. Pretty exciting, right? This is for the advanced class. If you're a beginner, sign off. No. Okay. Now, all of you over the course of your lives have prayed in whatever way is right for you. We know that. That's beautiful. And most of the time when you've prayed, we just had some more people come. We love you. Come in. Have a beautiful seat. Yes. Everyone's welcome. There's always room at the table for people who love each other and life. It's all good. Welcome. So anyway, I was saying all of you pray in your own way. All of you have your own energetic practices. All of you have the different books and studies and teachers that you've had. And we love that completely. And every time you focus on what already has become manifest, you miss an opportunity. Let me say that again. Every time you focus on what is already manifested in order to send energy and light and prayers to what has already manifested, you're working in the plane of effects rather than the causal plane. Someone's nodding in the audience here. So what does that mean? So in other words, if there's already polluted water, if there's already an injury, if there's already an illness or a difficulty or a situation that is out of balance and you're sending your energy to that, it's not wasted. I'm not saying that. It's not wasted. But can you understand from a physics point of view that what is already manifest has already become concrete in the physical? And so the opportunity that I would like to remind you all about is to do that and go back to the causal plane. Now, I'm going to explain that in just a moment, but where it began, the tap root of whatever the situation or the person or the difficulty began to create that story. Now, right now, a lot of you are very concerned about the political climate. And we're happy you're concerned. We're happy you're concerned. But we want to take you back. Why is the political climate so disruptive, divisive, and explosive at the same time? I'll tell you. You don't have to worry. Because what's happening came from the idea that power was to be managed not from the heart and not even really from the mind of God, but from the primal energy of I need to survive and you threaten my survival. So what we want you to begin to do tonight is not only send your energy to what is already created that you believe and feel and know is out of balance, but to go back to the mind of God, your mind of God, your mind of God, your mind of God, your mind of God, etc. And ask just one simple question. What would love do here? What would love do here? Because in order to shift the land of effects, we have to go back to the land of cause. Can you feel that? Nod your head if you feel that, right? And realize the mind of God did not create disharmony. The feeling of fear and lack and all of the other things that come with that create the belief that you are a threat to me. And therefore, I must do something to subjugate you, to diminish you, to kill you, to throw you off the tennis court. For those of you that were watching poor Serena, right? So you begin to realize, I do need to still operate in the land of effect, because that's in my reality. The unfairness, from everything from the immigrants to every single cause you can imagine. We don't want you to stop working to lift the burdens of those who have been enslaved, right? We don't want you to stop. But what we want you also to remember, you're part of the mind of God. Wake up. Wake up the mind of God and say, wait a minute. What's happening here is all based on power over. It's all based on fear. It's all based on the idea that the other is a threat to me. And now we move into the brain, the undeveloped brain of the caveman, right? That had to pick up a club to go and kill the animal to eat, that had to fend off the wild animals and the other tribes and all of that. And that part of the brain is still there. And unfortunately, it's had way too much authority. So now, as you recognize, all right, yes, I want to work for peace. I want to lift the burdens of those who are suffering. I want to be sure to have plenty of energy to help others. But at the same time, let's do some easy lifting. Let's do some easy lifting. Now, who can help with that? Who can help with that? All of the new children coming in have not carried this burden of, I'll just say, the caveman brain. They're coming in with a new brain. Isn't that lovely? They don't have to forget and then remember. They've already got it. So there are two additional arenas for you to use your beautiful spiritual energy. Naturally, the first one, you're dealing with your 3D life and whatever you see as out of balance, and you need to work with that, absolutely. But now to ask the question, what would love to hear in terms of the larger picture of the political crisis, of the economic crisis, of the crisis of the planet with water and all of that. And you begin to see from your third eye a filament of light. I like gold, but have whatever color you like, going into the hearts and minds of anyone and everyone that you feel drawn to address. That's all. You just say, you are safe. There's enough. I love you. All is well. I'm here for you. And again, in the moment, whatever phrases, come to you. And what you begin to realize is that when you operate from the causal plane, C-A-U-S-A-L, you're sitting up there with God and Jesus and me and anybody else that you like, realizing if I can move the center of power from the caveman brain to the heart brain, that is a much faster way to engender change in the world, right? And so if you're driving along and someone cuts you off, I see you get angry, I know. You just say, may you arrive safely. May you feel like you don't have to rush anymore. All is well. So many of you have studied with or seen or spoken or talked to masters, and what do they always do? What does the Dalai Lama do? He laughs all the time. What's he laughing at? His people have been shut out of the country for decades, right? What's he laughing about? His way of doing what I'm talking about, rather than doing it through his third eye, he's doing it through the vibration of his voice, laughing. He's saying, all is well. It's all right. It's okay. Now, does he still work for peace? Does he still do many things? Absolutely. So just begin to realize I have much more capability than I have allowed. One of the reasons I've asked Samara to do these calls is right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus Samara. We have 9 people sitting in this beautiful room on 9-9. And we have all of you, and later more people will watch this. So just imagine this fairly small group still, all beginning to represent the mind of God, to be the ambassadors of peace and light and love, simply by choosing to not only work in the world of effect, but to come back and work in the world of cause. And so you begin to operate in several different dimensions and arenas simultaneously. You begin to receive from your specific guides. You need to go and meet these twins. Now, Samara is sitting here with one twin, and the other twin is on Honolulu here. And then we're sitting with 2 more twins, and pretty soon she's going to go visit her other twin friends down in Prescott. But what does that mean anyway? It just means that whenever 2 or more are gathered, and that's why you twins got to be together, right? You twins got to be together because you could support and love each other and in a way see each other through, right? See each other through. And I'm speaking of this eye as well as these eyes. So take just a second and think about how many of you, at least at one point in your life, felt like you were completely alone and nobody cared and or understood you. So just imagine right now how many people out there in the world are still feeling that. Our friend Francis, who's sitting here, we were in Natural Foods, Natural Grocers, and Samara put her things down and smiled at the gentleman at the checkout, and he was like, and Francis came and gave him another big smile, and inside she was doing the same thing I'm talking about, but in a slightly different vocabulary, doing it in her way, saying, you can smile, come on now, you can, right? And before we left the little checkout, he smiled. So what was that? It was a transmission into the memory of who you all are. That memory is, it's in your third eye and also, of course, in the crown chakra and in the soul star chakra. But for the most part, people don't operate, by doing that. But you can. It was pretty simple, right? Yeah. And maybe he stayed on grumpy for at least one more person. I don't know. Maybe not. But at least in that moment, that's that transmission of light. And so what's happening is you are literally changing the frequency that person is experiencing. And because the limbic brain needs to be changed, everyone who's doing this and will be practicing it together in just a little while is really changing the nature of the plane of effects by going back to the plane of cause. And so I want to tell you it's fairly simple in that you don't have to figure out, now what happened to this person when they were 3 years old so I can figure it out and fix it. And no, it's much simpler, much simpler. You just transmit the peace of God from the peace of God that you are. And now what starts to happen is the plane of effects rather than having all of this wrangling. He said, she said, you said, they said, I'm going to fight you, I'm going to fight you, I'm going to fight you. There'll still be some of that, because so many people still think that's how to make change. But if you begin to operate in this way and connect with other like-minded people, like all of you on this call, what starts to happen is much more like what the Dalai Lama is doing. You become giggle masters. And so, in a way, when you think about children, no one can resist a little child laughing, right? It's like, oh my goodness, how lovely. You know, it's like puppies and kittens. It's wonderful. And generally speaking, grown-ups are pretty grumpy. So if we stop doing that, if we stop being grumpy, if we start just being joyful and loving, and meanwhile, without really any extra effort, sending forth this ray of light, first of all, your day will be better. But also, so will the days of all of the other people. So in order to effect planetary change, and in order to have 2020 be a year that you remember as a renaissance rather than a bloodbath, it's going to be more and more important to realize I don't want to fight at the level where the carnage exists. I want to lift myself into the place of the miraculous. I want to be a bringer of miracles. Wouldn't you like that? Right? Does anyone have a time? 5:25. Sorry, Tammy, I overspoke. Samara made a little schedule of how we were going to go today. But I want to say one more thing, and then I would love to have a little time to have people check in, and then we'll do our message together, our transmission together, practice it together. But what I want to say is, do what makes you joyful. Take a walk in nature, take a bath, play music, dance, laugh, be with friends, make art. You have two artists sitting next to each other. It's so fabulous. Because what you're doing while you're being joyful is literally like the pebble in the pond, creating ripples of energetic joy. And believe me, that's what the world needs right now.